A mason jar sits on a windowsill in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The water inside is cloudy, almost milky, and it's been there since 6 this morning. An old woman picks it up, walks to a row of tomato seedlings that have been sulking for 2 weeks, and pours the whole jar at the base of the stems. She doesn't measure it. She's done this every Tuesday for 41 years. By Thursday, those seedlings will have put out new leaf growth that took her store-bought fertilizer 3 weeks to produce last spring. That water she just poured came from rinsing rice. It cost her nothing. Here's what Miracle-Gro and Scott's don't put on their packaging. The thing they're selling you in a $14 bottle is, in large part, something your own kitchen sink produces for free every single time you cook rice. And the thing that gets me is, this isn't some hidden formula. It's starch, a little residual protein, and trace minerals the rice grain sheds when you rinse it. They'd spent decades training people to believe that plant nutrition has to come in a bottle with a barcode. It doesn't. It never did. Think about how strange that actually is for a second. A grain that's fed half the planet for thousands of years produces a byproduct every time it's prepared. And somewhere along the way, an entire industry got built convincing people the byproduct was worthless, while a version of the same starch, repackaged, dyed blue, and put in a plastic bottle, became a multi-billion-dollar category. Nobody sat you down and lied outright. They just made sure the conversation never got started. Silence works better than a lie most of the time. You've probably believed, like most of us did, that plants need synthetic nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium to really thrive. That natural methods are a nice-to-have, a hobby thing, not something that actually competes with a lab-formulated fertilizer. Here's where that falls apart. Cho Han-kyu, the agronomist who built what's now called Korean natural farming back in the 1960s, based an entire system on the idea that the microbes already living in your soil can extract more from a starch source than a synthetic salt ever could. Because bacteria like Bacillus subtilis feed directly on that starch, and in feeding they release nutrients in a form roots absorb almost immediately. Rice water isn't a substitute for fertilizer. It's food for the organisms that make fertilizer work in the first place. Go back further than Cho Han-kyu though. In rural Korea and Japan, families didn't invent rice water as a gardening trick. They just never threw it away. Water was scarce. Rice was the staple crop, and pouring the rinse water on vegetable patches was simple thrift, generation after generation, long before anyone wrote a farming philosophy around it. You washed the rice in a wooden bowl, you tipped the cloudy water into a bucket by the door, and on your way out to the garden in the morning, you took the bucket with you. Nobody explained it. Nobody needed to. The Amish in Lancaster County picked up a version of the same habit independently. Waste nothing. Reuse everything, and if grandmother did it and the garden grew, you don't ask why. You just keep doing it. Walk past an Amish kitchen garden in July, and you'll see the same behavior. A covered pail near the wash basin, tipped out onto the squash hills before supper. It's not a secret imported from a foreign continent. It's the same conclusion reached twice on opposite sides of the planet by people who couldn't afford to waste anything and who paid closer attention to their soil than we ever learned to. First, the plain version, and this is the one for houseplants that have stalled, ferns, pothos, anything sitting in a pot looking tired. Rinse a half cup of uncooked rice in 2 cups of water, swirl it for maybe 20 seconds, and strain the water into a container. Don't cook the rice in it. That's a different liquid entirely, and it'll rot. Water your plant with it once every 8 to 10 days, same as you would with regular water. Within 12 days, you'll see new leaf shoots that are noticeably darker green than the older growth. Second, the fermented version, and this is the one that actually competes with a $14 bottle of fertilizer. Take that same rinse water, but this time let it sit at room temperature, covered loosely, for 2 to 3 days until it smells faintly sour, not rotten, sour, like the start of yogurt. That smell means lactobacillus has moved in and started multiplying. Diluted 1 part fermented rice water to 10 parts plain water before you use it, because undiluted it's too acidic and will scorch root hairs. Pour it around the base of tomatoes, peppers, or squash every 2 weeks through the growing season. Farmers using this exact method in Korean natural farming circles report fruit set improving by the third watering, meaning more flowers actually turn into fruit instead of dropping. Third, and this is the part almost nobody mentions, rice water works as a compost activator. Pour it directly into a compost pile that's gone sluggish and quiet, the kind that isn't heating up anymore. The starch gives the decomposer bacteria something fast and easy to eat, and a pile that's stalled will often be visibly steaming again within 18 hours. That's not folklore. That's just bacteria doing what bacteria do when you feed them. Fourth, seed starting. Soak seeds, beans, squash, cucumber, in plain rice water for 6 hours before planting, instead of tap water. The trace starch appears to give the germinating seed a small head start, a tiny reserve of easily digestible sugar, right at the moment it's breaking dormancy. Gardeners running side-by-side trials, half their seeds soaked in rice water and half in plain water, consistently report the rice water batch breaking soil a day, sometimes 2 days earlier. Fifth, and this one surprised me the first time I tried it, a foliar spray for young plants showing the early speckled look of powdery mildew. Mix fermented rice water at the same 1:10 ratio you'd use for root feeding. Pour it into a spray bottle and mist the tops and undersides of the leaves early in the morning before the sun's high enough to scorch the wet leaf surface. The lactobacillus colony that built up during fermentation competes directly with the mildew fungus for space on the leaf. It doesn't kill the mildew with force, it just crowds it out. Do this twice a week for 2 weeks, and you'll usually see the new growth coming in clean, even if the older leaves keep some scarring from before you started.